back to my channel. So sorry that I have been away for such a long time. Things have been so busy, like you can't even imagine how busy our life has been. But anyways, this video is not about my busy life. It's about helping you to relocate to your dream life in Africa, specifically Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, where, if you're new to this channel, my family and I were living for the first half of this year. My husband and I and our 3 children moved from the United States to Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and stayed there for about 6 months. We are back in the US temporarily, basically just generating more income for our home building project, which is ongoing. And probably on my channel, you've seen some short little videos about how that process is going. But yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna try and help you guys get a really good understanding of what the cost of transportation is like in Ethiopia, specifically Addis Ababa. Unlike the previous 2 cost of living videos I did on housing and food, this video is not gonna have as many specifics in terms of precise prices, just because it can vary so widely. And so with that said, this is probably going to be the last video I will do on cost of living in Addis Ababa, just because beyond food and housing and transportation, people's lifestyles can vary pretty widely, and so can the cost. So this is going to be the last one, then I'll move on to other interesting topics regarding living in Addis. So first, let me explain some things about the different modes of transportation that are available within the capital city. The first one that I will talk about is public transportation. So public transportation includes taxis, contract taxis, a metro train, bus, and that's pretty much it in terms of public transportation, major mass public transportation. So taxis, when I lived in Ethiopia about 10-11 years ago now, and I would use taxis to get around Addis Ababa. So those are kind of like minivans, which seat maybe 12-15 people. And you get in and they take little short trips around the city. It's very cheap. I'm not 100% familiar with what the price is at this point, but it used to be 10 birr to go from Mexico to Bole or something like that. And so if you're going a shorter distance, it will be less money. Longer distances would be a little bit more, but it's not anything outrageous. Pretty much everyone can afford it. And I didn't have a problem traveling in that way, but if I were to do it again, now, having the kids with me, it might be a little bit more difficult because seating is sometimes limited. And so, if it's me and my 3 children trying to get on a minibus taxi, there may not be enough seats, and then we have to keep waiting for, one to come by that's pretty much empty or has enough seats. So there's some limitations to it, but I think it's very convenient and very affordable. The other thing I actually forgot to mention about public transportation is Bajaj. Bajajes. I don't know what the plural of Bajaj is, but I guess it's Bajajes. Anyways, so those are little what are they? It's not a tricycle or tripod, but it has 3 wheels. It's a little miniature kind of buggy or a cart. It is gas powered. And those can go around the city as well, but they are limited in how far they can go. So there's certain jurisdictions that they can't really cross over into, so they've got to go in between certain areas, and some of them really don't even want to go that far just because of gas usage and all that stuff, and they're just trying to stay in a high foot traffic area where they can pick up pedestrians off the road and just take them pretty much not more than 5-10 minutes away. It's really short, close rides. Those are even cheaper than the minibus taxis, but like I said, they don't go as far. They can seat 5 people, but it depends on where you are in the city. Sometimes they don't allow people to sit up front next to the driver, and that's where the other 2 seats would be available. And so you'd have to like do 3, maybe 4 people in the back if you're small and you can squeeze in. So the train situation, I've never taken the city train. It's something that's fairly new within the country, within the city. And I don't believe it goes around the whole city. So, you know, mostly you would use the train if you're gonna be closer to like downtown areas, Bole, maybe, what's the other one? I can't remember the name right now off the top of my head, but those areas are probably where you're going to be able to catch the train. And probably if you wanted to stay in that area, I've heard it's somewhat convenient and also somewhat inconvenient because there's not always that many trains that are running. And so, you know, like I said, I've never tried it, but it is an option that's out there, but only in certain parts of the town. And so I also don't know what the cost is. Sorry, guys. I will also mention, so we talked about Bajajes, minibuses, trains. The city buses are very, very cheap, probably the cheapest option. But I would say not really the option that you would want to take. Buses are often really overcrowded. Sometimes they break down. But if you have to, it's there. But that's an option as well. And lastly, I mentioned contract taxis. So contract taxis are private cars that can take you anywhere in the city. So, you know, you tell them where you want to go, and then you actually have to negotiate the price with them. So they are probably going to be the most expensive public transit option in Addis Ababa. So it's not something you want to use daily. Maybe every once in a while, like if you really need to go somewhere, maybe you have a job interview or you have something going on and you need to be on time, you need to make sure like there's no extra stops and they will get you exactly where you need to go. That's pretty much the only time I would say use something like that. Okay, so that's public transportation. If you don't have your own private mode of transportation. So one other, I didn't include this in the public transportation option just because I think it's kind of a category of its own, but this is like public rideshare. So rideshare is, if you're not familiar with the term, something similar to Uber and Lyft in the US. And in Ethiopia, in Addis, it's called Ride, R-I-D-E. And so you can use Ride. It's similar to, I guess, a contract taxi, but the price is set with this. So you don't have to negotiate. And I think, not that I think, I know it's actually cheaper than contract. So this is something my family and I used quite a bit when we were living in Addis earlier this year. It's not super expensive. I don't know, maybe like $3-5, you know, depending on where you're going. It could be a little bit more. And so that's obviously, if you've been in the US or somewhere where they use Uber or Lyft, you're gonna know like that's pretty affordable. And like I said, the only time that we were really using that is if we were trying to go out to, you know, some restaurants. So if you are from abroad and you're living in Addis and you want to get some Korean food or Indian cuisine or Chinese or whatever, most of those types of restaurants are going to be across town in the higher, sorry, I have to sneeze. Okay, sorry, in the higher cost of living urban areas that are like downtown. That's also where the movie theaters are going to be, and like bowling alleys, like those kind of activities. So using Ride is very convenient and something that I would recommend if you don't have I would recommend that above all the other options if you're going to be traveling like quite a distance away from your house. The Bajaj is really useful if you kind of live in a neighborhood that's walkable. So this is something, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know this is something that I really valued having, living in Addis. And so Addis has a lot of like really cute, quaint little neighborhoods that have coffee shops and, you know, your local bank and local pharmacy and, you know, like clothes, like shopping stores. And you can really get, it has like a small town feel, even though Addis Ababa is a very, very large city. There's pockets that feel like small towns. And so, you know, that's something like you can go get like fresh juice smoothies type of things. And you want to be able to just go out of your front door, walk to around the corner of the main road or a side road or whatever, and get, you know, basic daily shopping activities, errands, whatever done. So walkability is important, something to keep in mind when you're looking to relocate to Ethiopia, specifically Addis. You know, definitely want to look into that, like I mentioned in my previous video. So, you know, if you're able to walk to do your daily errands, then you don't have to worry about cost of transportation really that much at all. Like it can be super affordable if you're in a place that's walkable. And like I said, Bajajes are cheap. Even if like you don't feel like walking, you know, 20 minutes, you can take a Bajaj for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And so that is something you definitely want to keep in mind when you're trying to plan your move and budget your expenses. So, buying a car. I purposely saved this to the end because that is a huge, huge expense. If you are planning to move to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and if you're planning to buy a car, you are going to have to add another maybe 30 to 45,000 US dollars to your moving budget. Because the price of cars is very high. And it wasn't always that high. I mean, it's always been kind of like, you know, higher because it's imported goods, but it's expensive. Like there's no other way to put that. And I'm not talking about like brand new, fancy, shiny cars. I'm talking like used cars. And it's not gonna be like a big car that you're buying for that price. It'll be like a Toyota Vitz or a Toyota Yaris. Like small, compact vehicles that will run you that much money. The good news is that gas isn't that expensive in Ethiopia. But the car itself, yeah, that's gonna be expensive. So, one tip that I have for you, if you are planning to move to Addis and you're thinking you might want a car, like I said, it's not absolutely necessary. If you live in a walkable area and you know, you're only going out to foreign restaurants and the movies and stuff occasionally. But if you do want to have a car, I would recommend that you purchase your car from a place like Dubai. If you travel there, you would be able to get the same car for way less money. And that would even include your import tax. Like the cost of the same car in Dubai that you would buy for like 30,000 in Ethiopia might be like 5 to 10,000. Like seriously, maybe even 15,000 for a nice car. So I would because they have the factories there, like cars are made there. So you would be able to go there, purchase your car, have it shipped to Ethiopia. But of course, the only way this would truly work is if you had somebody that you knew and trusted, who could be there to receive the car for you. And I mean, maybe it could be yourself, but it definitely would help to have like, you know, local Ethiopians who know the car buying process on your side, who can help you negotiate things and, you know, get your car out of customs and all that stuff. So that's basically transportation costs in a nutshell. Like I said, it's not as specific maybe as the other videos that I have done on cost of living, but I think it would help to really give you a good idea of what to expect with local transport. In addition to like getting around like in your daily life, I will also mention that you can travel on Ethiopian Airlines throughout the country. I would say at a very reasonable price. So if you wanted to kind of explore the country outside of Addis Ababa and maybe go see, you know, the Blue Nile in Bajaj, or the rock-hewn churches in Lalibela, or if you want to go to see Densho Park in Bale, you know, all those kind of things are very accessible through flights. You can take like travel buses to get to those locations as well, but it's gonna take a lot longer to get there. Some of the roads are gonna be a little bit uncomfortable to travel on, and you know, so that's something you can consider as well. You would also be able to rent a car to do those same, you know, journeys. You can rent a car, use the giant like big travel buses, or take a flight. And you know, I've taken Ethiopian Airlines before, and it is a very nice airline. You know, I would say probably top of the line in Africa and also worldwide. It's a really great airline. The service is great, customer service is great. And so, you know, this isn't a promotion for Ethiopian Airlines, but you know, that's something to consider if you're going to be traveling throughout the country. So there are some kind of fun things to do in terms of transport if you're going to be in Ethiopia. So one thing that my family and I did was ride on a gari, and it's kind of like a horse-drawn carriage. And you're probably not going to be riding on that in Addis, but if you're outside of Addis, like in a rural area, like, you know, you can help these people out. These are like local business people who own these and who drive them around. They can be used to transport stuff, but then also just like get around. And so that's something kind of fun to try. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of put this video together for you guys to help you get an idea of what transport would be like in Ethiopia. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this video. And like I said, please stay tuned for my coming videos. I got a lot of great content coming up for you guys on moving to Ethiopia. I love you. I'll talk to you later.